The Bleacher Report app is your destination for sports. Right now, the NBA is heating up, March Madness is here, and MLB is almost back. Every day there's a new headline, a new highlight, a new moment you've got to see for yourself. That's why I stay locked in with the Bleacher Report app. For me, it's about staying connected to my sports. I can follow the teams I care about, get real-time scores, breaking news, and highlights all in one place. Download the Bleacher Report app today so you never miss a moment.
I think I'm kind of like I think people like my because I'm kind of a unique kind of character.
And I have you just see how games are possessed so intense, how they mean more. I'm not putting him on. I think the U.S. is going to all win.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Nothing But Respect. My name is Patrick Redford. I'm joined as always by Harry Krinsky. And this week, podcasting through a collapsed lung, not hers, but someone else's, we have returning champion, WNBA reporter extraordinaire, soon-to-be author, and Detroit Pistons superfan / doom poster. It's Maitreyi Anantharaman. How are you?
It should have been Karis.
It's been fun to see the nickname Careless Pervert pop up across NBA discourse. Like I heard the No Dunks guys mention it.
Yeah, you were on the ground in the ground floor. We found out about it early, so I'm glad you get to see it become popular now.
It's really good. Like there's nothing better than seeing, two college teammates like him and Duncan play together and then realize that like, wow, one of these guys just kind of sucks. It's like dark friendship. How are you doing, Harry?
I'm doing well. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm getting a text. I've just been told that the WNBA CBA has been ratified. I am reporting this breaking news. You can credit Harry Krinsky at the Nothing But Respect podcast for breaking the news. The CBA has been ratified, my sources say. So that's really exciting.
Wow, amazing. Was there a unanimous vote with 90% participation?
That's what my sources are telling me.
Wow.
Yep, that's 90,
that was just a guess.
90%. No, did you guys see this Shams get up stunt?
No.
That I was spoofing just there? I didn't get the rollicking belly laugh I was expecting. Shams like, okay, well then I'll tell you and my listeners. Shams Shams on Get Up the morning after the verbal agreement was signed is on Get Up and leaves the set of the live taping, walks off, takes a phone call, and then comes back and is like, breaking news, the contract has been done. And like a bunch of people I saw were upset at him for being like for something that I think was worth digging into, which is like there's all these WNBA like reporters were kind of staking out the actual thing and doing, kind of a fun and difficult journalism. But then he just sort of like he just broke it and like didn't cite Alexa, who's like on his own network and he's not citing her, whatever. That we shouldn't dig into that. But my other problem is like, obviously that was fake. Like you're telling me the 4 minutes he was on TV, he got a text and needed to respond to text. Like there's just no way that that's real. So that's how I'm doing. How are you? How are you guys doing?
I think there's some credence to that because he's like on TV having to break news on TV a lot, and he never leaves the set.
I think, yeah.
And there's like nothing about the substance of or style of his reporting that suggests that he's like making follow-up calls to make sure the details are all right and like pushing back on stuff. Like his ass is just using the copy and paste functions on his cell phone.
I actually wonder this because he's always like sources tell ESPN, but if it's just like one guy texting him, does he actually like follow up and get a second source on things?
It's interesting. I don't know. I feel like his function is not like we've talked about this a million times, but his function is not like breaking news that no one wants broken. It's like to serve as a repository for stuff that like the leagues or agents need to like get out there. So I don't think there's like a ton of verification that he's necessarily doing. Also, he used to fuck up scoops all the time,
Yeah, my theory is to that point, like that he's sort of like driving the ghost ship of scoop journalism, where like my guess is he actually is getting two sources. They're just like the two people who work there. Like it's like he's in a group chat with both of them. One person sends the note, the other person thumbs up the note, and is like, okay, those are my two sources.
That makes sense. Yeah. I do the obviously we are going to cover the media angle of it. And I think in this case, like the story of how updates about negotiations were broken and how like updates about the details of the CBA were broken are interesting. But first I want to just like big picture. What happened? What did the players get? And what is sort of like basically, were you surprised that this got done so quickly? Like how did this match up to your expectations as someone who's followed this much more closely?
This is about what I thought would happen. I didn't think it was going to get done. I mean, the initial deadline was October. Like this, you have to remember this has been a story for a very long time. The players opted out of the last CBA in October of 2024. Right. So it's just been something that's been kind of hanging over everything for so long. So I did not think it would be done before this October 2025 deadline. And even when they extended it, I was skeptical it would be done. But I was like quite confident that there was going to be a season. Anytime anyone asked me that, I was willing to stake my good name on that. And I as we went on, it didn't seem like missing games was something that was going to happen either. I was pretty sure that if there were a work stoppage, it was going to be like more of a symbolic strike than anything that would actually change the schedule at all.
And why so confident? Is it like all the money that both parties stood to gain? Yeah,
I think so. I think the owners, if there were a work stoppage, it was definitely not going to be a lockout. Like another thing about this is if the players just accepted the very first offer they got, like it was still going to be a huge win. There was basically nothing that the owners were going to like win, so to speak, in this deal. Maybe more games, which is reportedly in the deal, and there might be something about like prioritization we don't know yet, but otherwise like the players were going to get a lot more either way, and so there was not really any reason for the owners to want to lock out, and it just didn't seem like they had any appetite for that anyway. Yeah, so I was staying perfectly calm the whole time.
Yeah, you had no doomerism, as I unfortunately publicly revealed in a Defector Slack chat that I was feeling pretty pessimistic about their not losing games. I think the reason for that was like you said, like the owners were always going to give something up, but it just seemed like because the players were asking for, because like the place they were coming from was so low and what they wanted was so high. I just thought like that gap was going to be like so large that the players would not really be willing to like settle for anything that wasn't like an amazing deal. And it kind of seems, I mean, my read on it, and certainly like the players who've talked about it feel this way. Like it seems like the players got like a really good deal. Like they're getting so much money. Like the minimum salary next year is higher than the max salary was last year, which like alone just feels crazy to me. Like that feels amazing.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there was always going to be a dramatic increase in salaries, and that was always like the sticking issue was salaries. I think last CBA was pretty like there was a salary increase, but it was pretty benefits focused. And I remember that being kind of the focus of a lot of the messaging around it and PR around it. But this was pretty simple. Like the players were not getting paid a lot in salary, and now they're getting paid a lot more.
Yeah, it's funny because I agree. It's generally, when you look at the numbers, just like the sticker shock, though that's not quite the right word. It's like, okay, wow, huge wins, and it does. And when you look at all the comments coming out of it, it's like generally pretty like players feeling happy what they did, all that stuff. Really, the only thing that concerns me is how positive everybody's being. I'm like, is there some angle that we're missing? Do they want us to do the power? Yeah. So go ahead.
I mean, I will say I'm still not 100% sure what the result of like the real sticking point was. The big fight that the players and the league were having was like once it had been established, like once the union or league proposal said there is going to be some kind of like rev sharing mechanism or salaries will be tied to revenue in some way, then the issue was the players wanted it to be tied to like basically how BRI works in the NBA, where you just kind of start from gross revenue and then the league was using this like net revenue figure, which would be after owners subtracted costs, and the concern correctly, I think, was that those costs would be kind of nebulously defined or made up. I mean, there's so much kind of accounting stuff that you have to be wary of with something like that. And the figure that's been reported is that like the player salaries will be 20% of revenue, and that 20% definitely refers to gross revenue. The issue is when the league was talking about their proposals, they would sometimes just like translate their net figure into gross figures based on their revenue projections. And so I don't know if that 20% is the translation or if that's actually what it says in the CBA. And I still haven't like heard confirmation on what that is. And the fact that I haven't actually kind of leads me to believe that maybe the league won on that issue, because I feel like the players would maybe be messaging it a little bit more aggressively if they had won that, because like everyone was following that battle. But I don't know. Maybe they just, I don't know. It was kind of odd to me, and it's still odd to me that we haven't found that out. And now it's been a few days.
Yeah, like so many other details of it have emerged, like the can't trade a pregnant player without their consent stuff. Like little, line items are coming out, but like the big one hasn't, which is kind of strange. Can you, as someone who every time I see gross and net revenue, it's like finding out what a deductible is. Like I have to go from first principles and like do every like definition in a row. Like why is rev share such a big deal? Like usually I feel like salaries are the thing that like everyone focuses on because that's like simple. Like you don't have to, do what I just explained. But like why is this the big issue?
Yeah, I mean, this was the focus of the players' messaging from the beginning. And I think it was like a good way of putting it. They were like, we want our salaries to be tied to the health of the business. Because if you looked at the old CBA, it was just these like pretty incremental and arbitrary increases. I think salaries went something up like 3% every year. And just given the like rate of growth in women's basketball and women's sports generally, in sports generally, honestly, I think that's just a pretty savvy thing to do and natural thing to want that to be actually like tied to something real and not just kind of these numbers pulled out of thin air, which was sort of how the old CBA felt a little bit. The kind of nefarious might be a strong word, but there was a rev share provision in the old CBA, and it was basically that players would get a portion of revenue like above a certain target if they hit certain targets. And those targets were, unfortunately, they were these like cumulative targets, and this CBA was signed in January of 2020, and so like immediately you have a season where there's just no money coming in, and that put them in kind of a hole to start. But they did actually meet the, they caught up this year, so we found out that the players did hit that target. But the thing about those targets is, even though like normal salaries were only scheduled to go up 3% every year, the targets went up by like 20% every year. So it was way out of whack. And so now I think you actually have those figures brought closer together.
Man, having to learn about cumulative revenue on top of net and gross, this is too complicated. Like you conducted this interview with former NBPA head Tamika Tremaglio that I thought was very interesting, even if I didn't fully understand like what forensic accounting is. Mm-hmm. But I was just struck by this idea of like, I guess the WNBA's like weird ownership structure and like ties with the NBA, I feel like are like a unique factor that make this like way more complicated. But just this very idea that like the amount of money coming in can be like fundamentally obscured. I think that's like, that to me feels like a fairly unique part of this. And I'm very impressed with the players for like negotiating around that correctly and just getting as much as they did. Like it seems like they did a really great job.
Yeah, the NBA accounting stuff, like you have to think like even the catalyst for all of this, which I think is the TV deal, like that's the big source of new money. Even that is kind of fake because it's the NBA's TV deal, and then the NBA has just like assigned a random valuation to how much the WNBA's portion is worth.
Yeah, they're just saying like this like you get this many games and we've deemed that it's worth like 2.2 billion or whatever, when like, that could be like 10 or something. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
So I was listening to the Ringer WNBA show, and Sirit had a number of the reporters who were staking out the negotiations, and a few things that stuck out to me that align with that are in this conversation is like and I know you guys know this, but it's worth saying for the audience, is like Kathy Engelbert is the first commissioner of the WNBA, and that's not to say that she was the commissioner when the WNBA started. There was no commissioner. It was a president that the NBA would hire, and it was this like kind of dead man walking style role where you were ostensibly running this league, but you got hired by a body of like an entirely different league that could fire you at will and all this stuff. And even Kathy was hired personally by Adam Silver. And so there is this, even though the WNBA, I think rightly, has like moved, both the players and it seems like the league have like moved to not be like the little NBA, there is still this structural thing where like Silver hires them, that there's an inherent kind of power dynamic there. Kathy might need to run things by Silver, and that the one of the things that I thought that kept coming up on the Ringer show was like that makes this stuff really hard, like because you're not speaking to the person who knows all the information necessarily, and those things like those figures, those evaluations, the weird ways that you can finesse what the bottom line actually looks like when connected to a larger thing like the NBA is a perfect example of that. Like you don't even see the full target, I think. But that's also just like, on the one hand, it's like, okay, we're really far away. On the other hand, we've come a long way, that now we are getting closer to actually engaging with the WNBA as like a holistic entity of its own.
Yeah, that sounds totally right to me. And the Kathy figureheadness is an interesting thing here, because I remember when we talked about this last, and in the wake of especially Nafisa Collier's comments after the Lynx got eliminated, I remember thinking like, oh, Kathy's going to get this CBA done, and then just like we'll never hear from her again. Like she's going to be out of there. Right. Obviously that like hasn't really been talked about. But Maitreyi, do you have any sense of like how Kathy will handle the next 6 to 7 years of her job?
Yeah, I remember around the time of the fee press conference, I still haven't come up with like a good noun for whatever that was. Like, I don't like using the word rant because it feels like dismissive, but I don't know.
Yeah. The gate suffix doesn't work in this context either. It's like, and like statement isn't like strong. That doesn't really.
Yeah. I'm looking for something in the middle. So if you come up with anything,
maybe.
Yeah.
The Nafisa Accords.
Anyway, around that time, there was, I think it was an SBJ story that quoted someone who thought that she was probably going to step down. after this got done. And like that's a pretty normal timeline. Like it kind of both on the union side and on the league side to kind of wait out a collective bargaining agreement and then step down. So I don't know what it says about her. I mean, I do think like for all the problems that people have with her and that I have with her, like people, and I don't know how much credit she specifically deserves, people will look back on the Engelbert years like as a pretty big success, I would say. Like she's made her bosses a lot more money. She got this big, like, I mean, the biggest CBA in the league's history done, no work stoppage. Like, again, I some of it's probably, all of it is probably happening without her, but, you know, she gets her name on all of this stuff.
Is she assistant?
Yeah, I respect Kathy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's the.
You're saying Kathy's not clutch?
Yeah.
You can't win. Kathy's not going to take the last
or
shot.
maybe it's the other way around. Like maybe Kathy's
just a social progress and capitalism merchant, and
right. Yes, she's like a yeah, she's a social she's like a never mind. Use that around.
She's a growth of women's sports merchant.
I was gonna say, yeah, like
she's a Caitlin Clark merchant.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't need to do the whole Caitlin Clark digression. She's healthy and playing again now, which is good.
She is. We're okay.
Yeah.
The sport of
like
women's basketball.
America's saved. It is crazy. Like when just trying to Google around and read like as much about the CBA as possible, how like 2/3 of the stories are like, what does this mean for Caitlin Clark? Or like big win for like class that includes Caitlin Clark, referring to like every WNBA player. Like it's just
so. I
can't wait for
think
more
of a Caitlin specific, a pro Caitlin take. Christine Brennan, if she's listening to this, I would encourage her to kind of run with this. If you'd asked me like 3 years ago, what are going to be the biggest things discussed in the next CBA, one of them I would have said was travel and charter travel. And I think Caitlin is sort of the reason that the league had to basically take that off the table. Like that was not a chip they could use. Yes, charter travel was like officially codified in this CBA, but they had already agreed to do that kind of on their own accord. I think because some, videos came out of Caitlin like walking through an airport and everyone's like, oh shit, that can't happen. And so they had to kind of scramble to fix that during her rookie season. And so that was like a big bargaining chip that they could not use. And I think Caitlin had a lot to do with that. So that's the kind of Caitlin specific.
Does that mean we have to retroactively put Caitlin on second team All WNBA?
Yeah,
for last year, the year she played 6 games.
The C in CBA stands for Caitlin Bargaining Agreement.
Still waiting to see into the full CBA comes out. Obviously, details emerging, but no reports yet on whether or not anyone is allowed to be racist against Caitlin because she's white, or if that's like going to be eliminated, because obviously that was a big issue for everyone because she's solely responsible for, the continued existence of the WNBA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, gross revenue,
which I'm sure will be addressed in the book.
Yeah. Gross revenue is the gross way the fans of Angel Reese are treating Caitlin.
Yeah, all Chicago Sky tickets are definitionally gross revenue. They got it. Here's the thing. Here's accountants. I respect your profession.
I know. I
don't really know what you guys do. I sort of wonder if you're just sort of Microsoft Excel spreadsheet merchants, but because I don't know how that works either, I can't really say shit about that. You got to pick a different name. You got like net revenue. Great. Clearly, net catches fish.
It's
we all
all
kind of know
net
that works.
revenue in basketball, technically, when you think about it.
Wow. That's so true. But gross revenue, like the English language is like hundreds of words. There's dozens of words you could pick from here. Gross, like, well, come on.
I knew. I mean, this is why we have a podcast together. I both completely agree with you and knew where you were going. What are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, like, what about like real revenue? Just like there's a suggestion, like
goated revenue.
Goated revenue swag. Speaking of swag, this I sort of want to pivot now to how insane the next 5 weeks are going to be. Like, opening day is scheduled for May 8th, which is, not long from now. And a lot of stuff has to be compressed into the next 5 weeks. And I sort of want to frame that discussion by asking you, Maitreyi, like, what does this mean for the Golden State Valkyries?
So they have 2 new competitors. We have expansion drafts. I still don't know how the expansion draft works when everyone's a free agent, because it's happening before. So I don't know.
Can we talk about that too? The everything, because I forgot. We talked about this when last season, how there was going to be this kind of reset of all the stuff, and you've been saying like, oh, everybody's a free agent. Help me understand: is literally everybody a free agent, or is it like
almost everyone who is not on a rookie contract is a free agent, basically anticipating this CBA like being a huge one. Everyone's agent was just kind of signing 1-year deals until we got to this CBA, except for some reason for Lexi Brown and Kalani Brown, who are on contracts. So those are the only 2 like veteran players, but everyone else is a free agent.
The idea of doing an expansion draft before free agent, like, what if they just don't? What if those are the only 2 players eligible for the expansion draft?
Toronto gets
like, you get someone whose last name is Brown, and that's all you get.
It would be kind of upsetting to be the second player picked in the 2-player expansion draft.
Damn.
Well, just like imagine you're the 2026 WNBA champion Golden State Valkyries, and you're like, okay, we have like secret deals worked out because our front office is goated. Everyone wants to play for Natalie. Everyone wants to move to San Francisco, engage in the 4HL, learn some vibe coding in free WNBA provided housing in the Mission Bay area, where it's the only one sunny part of San Francisco. And you're like, shit, I don't want to end up in Toronto because they don't have vibe coding there. And so you reach this deal where you're like, okay, we will sign you like a week before the season starts to protect you from being taken to the expansion draft. Like, couldn't you just do that?
Yeah, I don't exactly know how they plan to do this. I don't know why they are having an expansion draft at all. Like, I feel like I would just make sense to just have normal free agency.
Sign guys, yeah.
Kathy has been asked about this at like literally every press conference for the last year and a half and has not supplied an answer. So I guess in a couple of weeks we'll find out how this is supposed to work. I do not envy the front offices who have to like come up with a team in like 12 days.
Well, and so we could see some pretty wild super team creations, right? I mean, I would, if I'm guessing, if I'm like kind of game theorying this out, my guess is between kind of intra-player chatter and the teams that have the most exciting kind of package of you were joking about the vibe coding, but like of like good setups.
Access to network state style individuals.
Exactly. We're gonna put a full court basketball court in our Croatian network state. For you, Paige. But is that, have people started talking about like, whoa, okay, who are the it's almost like every team is that 2012 Miami Heat team where like every team could game theory out and get the right big 3 or the right big 5 and come up with a team. It's like, where are we at with that?
Yeah, this is something that I think in retrospect I was wrong about, which doesn't happen often. So if I seem a little shaken, that's why. But I thought like, so before last year's free agency, I was like, okay, this free agency is going to suck and not really be very interesting because everyone's just going to wait for the next one. And I think I got it a little bit backwards. And I think it was Brianna Stewart who pointed this out. She's like, just because this offseason is going to be so short, you're not going to have that much time for like meetings and stuff. Like, I think she said something like she wouldn't be surprised to see people kind of do the same thing again, like take a 1-year deal, punt, and then make next year the big one. I also think last season people were using as like a trial for this free agency. So like Kelsey Plum signed with LA, and I think the idea was that she would, assuming everything went well there, she would stay. Alyssa Thomas, like there were a lot of big moves last year that I didn't really anticipate, and I think people were using last season as a kind of trial period before they made their like big long-term contract decisions this year. So we might just see like people really just lock in decisions that they already made, or just kind of kick it down the road a little bit, and then to set up a more interesting free agency next year.
That makes some grim sense to me. I was kind of hoping you would say something else, but I mean, we already saw Asia not like sign a supermax, but like the second the CBA was even verbally agreed to, you see reports from the Review Journal that she's going to sign supermax.
Yeah. Do you have any like big fish you're looking for? Because
I want to sign Kelsey Plum's AI twin. That's a big one. I mean, just the wish list is like Nafisa Collier, Chelsea Gray, Veronica Burton obviously has to come back. Caitlin Chen, who's been tearing it up in Europe, she's got to come back.
Chelsea might be gettable. That's a hometown.
Yeah, but I also
Bay
want
Area
Jackie
special.
Kind of. So maybe both of them.
I'd settle for Jackie. Yeah. I think we could make that work. But the point is like they're winning the champ. Like I have complete faith in my heart. Like this we have the coach of the year. It's going to be a big team. Like we're getting Alicia Gray coming over. We're getting Alyssa Thomas, maybe coming off the bench. Kelsey Mitchell sort of as like a break glass in case. Like I think everyone's just going to want to come. It's we just had a heat wave. It's really nice in SF right now. Like if they were doing secret free agency visits, they have a totally unrealistic vision of like the weather in the city. So I'm like, I'm feeling very good.
What was I going to ask you? What was the timeline that Joe Lacob said? He was like, we're winning a championship in,
I think he had 6 years.
3 or 5?
It was 3 or 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's happening. Yeah. Of course.
I mean, yeah, that guy knows all about timelines and the various numbers of them and sticking to plans. So I feel really confident.
Great.
That's all going to work out.
The only problem, and God, who could have predicted this, right? But it is unfortunate that in the emergence of these like quasi anthropomorphized large language models, that the term Valkyrie unfortunately totally could be the name of an LLM. And I don't know what to do with that like a company could be like, yeah, it's the best SaaS specific LLM for people who are doing B2B SaaS in war zones are use Valkyrie.
Got to use Valkyrie, yeah.
And that's disappointing, obviously.
I'm excited that the 2 new expansion teams both have no S at the end of their name.
Yeah,
so that's something I like about the W generally.
WNBA
There's so many sort of
no S's.
What's the term for that? Like it's some kind of first, I don't know, whatever plural it is. I'm having a lot of word issues on this podcast, but you know what I mean? I feel like the crowd in Portland is going to be amazing. Like the way they support their NWSL team is just like incredible. I feel like Raptors fans are some of the best fans in the NBA. And so like, I'm feeling
You're
pretty
so
happy
delusional. It'll be great to watch them gas up their terrible expansion team.
Well, that's the thing is like, there's no way that either of those teams are going to have as good of a season as the Valks did last year. So I'm just like, I can't wait till like August when you start to see storylines about like Portland and Toronto want to combine 7 games.
Yeah.
Like what did the Valks get right that they couldn't handle? And it's just going to be, more Bay Area exceptionalism. And this podcast will have a lot to talk about. So I'm just feeling good.
I totally agree.
With so many options, Why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 350 plus undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
This was another thing that is worth hitting is the like changing what this is going to do to the changing kind of like ownership universe. I know I saw this reported, and this was kind of did read as strange to me, and some of the other people who I saw were commenting on this, that was strange that like the Sun were sort of it involved pretty intimately in the various talks, but the Sun, they're about to get the Sun ownership group, I meant, then they're about to get sold. So that was a bit confusing to me. But like, is this going to mark a changing of the guard? Kind of like some of these more cheap. It seems like you're just not going to be able to compete in the W like literally at all, even metaphorically, in the league if you're not investing in the league now, which is a win. Do you see the kind of this being the death knell for the mid WNBA owner?
Yeah, I don't know how like severe they are, but something that is in the CBA is there are some like facilities standards and staffing requirements, and that I feel like practice facilities always kind of dominate the discussion and are like the go-to shorthand for how rich your owner actually is. But stuff like that, like front office staffing, medical staff, training staff, like those are the things that can get really expensive. And those are the things that I think still kind of separate some teams from other ones. And so I will be curious to see that. I do sort of think that if you are a mid owner, so to speak, like, I don't know, why not just sell at this point?
Yeah,
like,
it's a great time. Yeah. CBA's locked in. Speaking of clown owners, I will note this was reported a couple days ago. This is the last season that the Wings will play in College Park Center. They're moving into the Mavs arena in 2027, right in time for Paige and Azzy to lose in the second round. And I'm not allowed to say who to. I do think it's time to talk about the media, because the way this was reported, the people that reported it and the stuff they had to do to report it are like crazy. So I first want to talk about with you, Maitreyi, like, where were these negotiations taking place and who was sitting outside of this location?
So they were at a hotel. I think most of them were at a hotel. I think there were maybe some sessions like at the league office, but for the most part, there were these like marathon kind of all night sessions that would end at like 3, 4, 5 a.m. And they were at a hotel, I don't know, somewhere in Midtown, New York.
The Langham Hotel.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, Langham. I think, whatever. Yeah.
Some hotel we cannot afford in New York. Yeah. And there was like a kind of dedicated crew. It's all of them like very respected on the beat. Just a funny kind of mix of people, because it was Doug Feinberg at the AP, Alexa Philippou from ESPN, and then Annie Costabile, who is at Front Office Sports, and then Jackie Powell, who's at the 9. And so old and new media alike, establishment and indie coming together. And then there was also a streamer guy who was recording this whole thing, as I learned.
Yes, and so this gets back to the like the joke I was making at the beginning is there's a few kind of strange dynamics at play, right? There's this big stakeout of the thing, which seems strange, but like relatively normal thing a journalist would do. People stake out like big.
I think that happened during like the NBA lockout too.
Yeah.
There were all those guys hanging around the hotel.
And I think
I would love to stake somewhere out. I just have to say, like, I'm not jealous of these guys having to do this at like until 4 a.m. in like the cold weather, but like the idea of just hanging out somewhere with a bunch of reporters and waiting for like the white smoke to emerge from the hotel, like that does sound like fun to me.
I agree.
Did you ever think about going?
I did not think about going.
I mean, you don't live in New York.
I do not live in New York,
right.
so.
I was going to ask, and like, so it wasn't, well, we'll get into this. What I was going to ask is like, it wasn't like anybody was credentialed, but let's get into that. But there's like this stakeout happens. It becomes kind of like a bit of a meme, sort of like a little bit of a Chaz style situation, a journalist, autonomous zone. And then it does get like quote unquote, sort of, they do all this reporting and then Shams tweets it out, kind of like comes over the top, talks about it on TV, tweets it out, whatever. And
he's the first person to get details, we should say. Like,
yes.
The stakeout crew reported that like a verbal agreement had been reached, but everyone was like, for what? And
right.
then Shams was the first guy to like,
he had
answer
numbers
that question,
and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. And so you have this kind of battle between the top line kind of the biggest NBA reporter and these journalists on the ground. But then you have this other battle between a gentleman, which you guys tipped me off to, who goes by the moniker Venom, who, and I don't know how or why he just started to doing this, but he went to the location and just live streamed it for 8 days straight. Is that right? Like, I know he live streamed it a lot. I don't think he was there for the end, because I think by the final days, the reporters actually had a hotel room, and so they were no longer outside the hotel. Right.
And so it was only Venom left.
Was that to avoid Venom or to
No,
not
I
be
think that
kicked
was
out?
just to not be sitting outside a hotel for a long time.
Well, I think you're totally right. That is not what Venom would say. I have since been checking. So Venom, I had to do a little deep dive into what's going on with this guy. There's a lot of. Let me just. I think it's important to like state my biases here, right? I think streaming is disgusting. I think it's gross. Like, I think it's just very strange and kind of like for babies mostly.
Unlike the honorable podcasting.
Which is a Gen X.
This is
art.
for adults.
Yeah. No, I mean, podcasting is a Gen X art form. We're obviously between Zoomers and young millennials, but we have to respect our forefathers. I also can't say like what ESPN is doing is so not for babies, because I was like looking at some of the YouTube headlines they're using, and it's like girls finally get bossed up heart, and it's like Sean, it's like, dude, like what the fuck are we talking about? This is a
but they did get bossed.
They did, but it's like we can say it as an adult language. But anyway, Venom
is that not giving you all the feels? Is that not making you cry laugh emoji?
It is and it isn't. Like, it might.
Do you think you'll believe what happened next?
Literally, no. But so I'm having like, on the one hand, I'm having a serious aesthetic reaction to what Venom is doing, because he's streaming, and I totally don't understand the medium at all. On the other hand, I am like at least somewhat sympathetic to the idea of like insurgent media and like independent media, and like he's there, investing some amount of time in the journalism of it all. He's like actually boots on the ground on some level. And so I wanted to give him some good faith. It was, the more I watched of his stuff, the less it was possible for me to give him good faith. The main thing that the entire, so he's recording and this is my sense of what went down. He is standing there with a camera and then like kind of bum rushing the jazz and going up to these poor journalists who are just trying to like Starlink their beats reports to their various media apparatuses, and he's just like hitting selfie mode on the camera and just being like, "Yo, what's up? What went down there?" And they're like, kind of like super caught off guard and annoyed and tired or whatever. And then he walks away and he's like, "Man, dude, the old media, like, they hate me." And it's like, dude, you just shoved a camera in their face. Like, you don't know. This is just like, you don't know these people. But they might not even hate you or not hate you. You like shoved a live streaming camera in this poor woman's face. Like, can you let her have 90 seconds? So.
Okay, both of you have more familiarity with Venom than me. Can I just ask, like, is he a WNBA streamer or is like he just a guy?
I think he is a WNBA streamer. I had not heard of him, but that's not a good gauge for how big a streamer actually is. But yeah, I think his channel is like WNBA or NBA focused.
He's doing both. He is doing WNBA stuff, and he, to his credit, says he does. He again, I did a mini deep dive. I didn't go a full one. It's got there's some bad faith. The bad faith flags are going up. We're getting a lot of America's biggest Caitlin Clark fan on the TL. So just, that's an interesting way to lead with insurgent media. But yeah, he is not, it's not a troll job. Like, he is at least in his own words, wants to be part of the WNBA media. I just think that, I don't know, there's this, I mean, he just is like not going about it in like a linear way or a way that's like not that.
Yeah, I think I might also respect him more if he were like good at like asking questions and doing the way I came across him is I saw one of his, I think it was, he tweeted these clips, and then later I found his YouTube and was watching like the longer live stream. But one of the clips was like, I interviewed Kathy Engelbert, and then I watched it, and he like didn't really, he was just sort of near where the other journalists were actually interviewing Kathy Engelbert. There was another clip of him like talking to Terry Jackson, who's the executive director of the union. And he was like, "Is there anything you can tell us?" And she was like, "We're making progress." And then he sort of didn't really know how to follow up on that question or like do anything with so little information. And he like didn't really seem to know enough to ask specific questions. So he's like, "Anything else?" And so then it just ended up being a kind of unhelpful interview. So
okay, I've just looked at Venom's Twitter and I have a couple things to report. One,
title case,
AI generated avatar.
Yeah. I should have mentioned that. That was part of. It's also part of the red flag.
His pinned tweet is really frames the rest of it, which is, "I'm literally just a super fan of Caitlin Clark," with the selfie where he's wearing a Caitlin Clark beanie. Mm-hmm. He does this thing where he only tweets in headline case.
Yes.
Every first letter is capitalized, which like kind of gives me a headache. This quote tweet sort of bait prompt was going around of like, what's the best tweet in the 20-year history of Twitter. His is an August 18th, 2024 tweet from @CaitlinClark22 that just says, "This is now a Lexi Hull fan account." I don't remember that tweet. Surely there have been some other ones in the 20-year run. So I'm just saying this must frame the discussion. Yet another, I mean, Caitlin's influence must be studied.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to add about this, that so he's going there, he then posts a video that I sent you guys the screenshot of. I've been what's the thing? I've been canceled by the old guard of media, receipts included. And this video, which I did unfortunately watch on 1.7 speed this morning, is outlining a very strange one-directional beef he has with Annie Costabile, where Annie, this all starts, it's an incredible work of myth-making, where Annie says one line on one podcast where she's like, yeah, you know, like I got these sources over a number of years. Like I didn't just like show up there. And he's like, this is about me. She is, Annie Costabile is personally attacking me. And then he like goes through all of the live stream interactions he had with Annie, where you can tell. And I don't, you know, I've never met Annie. I've read some of her reporting, but I have other than that, I don't know anything about Annie. And Annie is just so clearly at her wit's end with the like dynamic, regardless of like what he's saying. It's just like, you see there's one moment where he turns the camera to her, like hunched over a laptop just trying to file a story, and all she says to somebody else in the Jazz, she just says like, I'm gonna fucking crash out. And it's like, he's like, damn dude, they won't let the old guard in. And it's like, no dude, it's just like, you're streaming this this person doesn't want to be live streamed at 3 a.m. And then, you know, it's a 30-minute video, and it's hard because the other irony about this is when Maitreyi, I'm curious, like you've been in the trenches of W media stuff. Like when I went to the draft last year and was talking to some people like reporters, a lot of the frustration from the reporters, like kind of off the record frustration, was like, yo, why is it only influencers on the orange carpet? And it's like, there's just seems to be a constant moving target about who is and who isn't the outsider and who is and who isn't the insider in the WNBA media. And like, my feeling about this is probably just boils down to like journalists in general wanting more access, complaining about their job, like just regular, the way I complain about my job. But I don't know. What do you think about that, Maitreyi?
Yeah, I think that's right. The funny thing about WNBA media, just because of the size of it, is like, I think some of the actual hierarchy stuff is even much flatter than it would be in any other sport, where like, you know, those, let's say the 4 people who were staking out the place, like their NBA equivalents are like probably not super close or like, you know, palling around regularly.
Right.
But I don't know. I never, I mean, like, you know, I cover the WNBA as someone from a like independent outlet, and I'm never like afraid to talk to people at bigger outlets or anything like that. I mean, I don't think there's that much status jockeying at these types of things usually. So it's kind of a funny critique of WNBA media to hear.
You know, when you go to the finals this year, I'm sorry that they're going to sit you next to Venom, who will just be live streaming his reaction to every shot, and you're going to be in there. So just get ready.
All right.
Yeah. Wait, can you talk about this Holly Rowe thing? Because I didn't see this. And this also.
Oh yeah. So I was just like I was just looking at like who was reporting. Okay, I guess the thing I want to frame this as, I feel like people were getting mad at the hotel crew in a way I totally didn't like understand, where I think people were kind of pissed at them for not reporting enough news or enough like WNBA critical news. And I think people sort of had this idea that they were like just, you know, like verbatim, just repeating what the which struck me as like a really strange misread of like what they were doing. So, I mean, it's like, before I get into the Holly Rowe thing, Maitreyi, did you encounter that? And like, what do you make of that?
I don't know that I saw like a ton of that. It was sort of frustrating because like the quotes they were actually getting from people were just kind of necessarily not very interesting, because the people are not saying stuff, right? They're like, we are making progress, or like there's movement toward a new thing. And especially, I mean, this went on for like 7 full nights basically. And I think by night 7, that stuff gets kind of tiring. But like they did, I mean, for me, just as a consumer, like I thought it was interesting to know who was in the room, what time were they leaving. Like I thought that was all kind of useful and interesting color.
Totally. And it's also like the only stuff that's there to report. Like if they don't have a deal and, you know, they're not going to come downstairs and like tell the assembled crew, like, here's exactly the points that we're like arguing over because they're in the middle of a negotiation. It's like, I feel like I'm totally fine with that. But one of these things that did emerge was a Holly Rowe tweet on March 12th. Feel like we are getting closer to a deal. 3 praying hands emojis, 3 fingers crossed emojis. Latest league proposal. And then she writes, just so you have on background, no attribution to me or the league. Here are some updates. And then it's the list of what the league's proposal was, which is very funny. You know, not like that serious of a thing. And like, obviously if it's like an ESPN reporter reporting what the league's proposal was, it's like, you know, clear that like the players aren't going to give her that. But like, I guess this is just more contribution that this is like a league person using Holly to like get their own shit out there because like, you know, a critical, we didn't really talk about this too much. I thought C-Rat did a good job explaining this on the Ringer WNBA show a few days ago, but just like the ways in which the league tried to break the players' solidarity was like, you know, this is classic union busting stuff, but one of them is just to highlight how much money they're turning down, like by being like, can you believe these women want more than $6.2 million? And so like, this is just like, you know, Holly doing the league's bidding, whatever, that's fine. I just didn't think it was funny.
The thing that Holly did wrong was not deleting the part of the tweet, right? Like otherwise this is normal stuff that happens that journalists do all the time. So her only like sin was just like letting people see a little bit too clearly what's going on, right? Yeah, and like I you know, we made fun of Shams earlier for using the copy and paste functions on his iPhone, but like that backspace key, you can't forget about that. He cannot be beat at that step.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I did want to one kind of as we get you out of here, one final thought about this, because when you were talking about the stakeout and kind of was there that much news about this, one of the things Pablo Torre said this in an interview about why his show is structured the way it is, where which some people kind of bump on, like why is there so much explanation of the journalism at play here? In that, in an age of like lack of trust in media institutions, and in an age of like, I mean, a complete explosion of like fake images, fake news, fake blah blah blah, such that it's almost wrote to say, one powerful tool that institutions do have in building trust is showing their work, and showing their work in this kind of like boring and banal way. And I see a lot of that. You can kind of, once you start seeing, you see it everywhere, like artists are doing like live you know, time lapses of how they made the painting, like whatever, all this sort of like how you, even the kind of like get ready with me as the proof of having style in the first place. Like I see a little bit of that here, where like it almost, like you said, like there's not so much updates to come out of staking it out, but the act of staking it out and the act of making this act of boots on the ground public, you know, I'm there as a journalist, a publicly known thing, you know, that at least to me engenders trust. Like I trust the reporters that they were there. I don't trust, that doesn't mean I don't not trust anybody who wasn't there, but I think it's good to show people, journalists doing their jobs, which is then complicated by the whole Venom thing, which is like, well, don't show that much. But that's just one other thought I had.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah, but like, just don't be a live streamer. That's not okay. I can't watch that shit. And like, we talked about this a little bit with the clavicular thing a while ago, but the fact that all of that drama was playing out on just like these dipshits live streams on Kick and stuff. It's just like totally allergic to context. Like there's no way to encounter any of it after the fact, and it's all just like very floating and denatured. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that stuff is coming to the W finally.
Yes.
The last little thing, this is like not CBA related, but like it's March Madness right now. And I just, I'm a big Olivia Miles head. And I just want to ask, like, who are some draft gals we should be paying attention to?
Draft gal. So I think first overall pick is not playing. I think it's going to be Awa Pham, who is 19 years old and playing in Spain. So I think we will have a international pick. Otherwise, I would keep an eye on UCLA. They've got a few players who will probably be drafted. Lauren Betts, I think will probably be a lottery pick. Gabriela Jaquez, sister of Jaime. Yeah.
Isn't like 80% of their starting? I looked. ESPN's latest mock has like 4 of their 5 players going in the first round.
Gianna Neepkins also from UCLA, and then who else? UConn, AZ Fudd should be going up there. Something,
is it AZ?
It is AZ, like crazy
Good to
or
know.
lazy. A annoying thing is because the Chicago Sky are so stupidly run, is the Lynx actually have a second overall pick this year. And I could see her landing there. That seems like
That'd be an amazing
good fit with AZ, yeah. So UCLA is probably like the most stacked team of prospects. And
you wrote about
Flage,
Madison-
my personal favorite, Flage,
Yeah.
who I don't know what's going on with her, but she's always hanging around at LSU.
She's so fun. I love watching her. She had, LSU won by like 1 million yesterday, which, didn't stop anyone from freaking out. But she had
She's great.
efficient game.
I'm like a big Flage apologist. There are totally games where she just like checks out and does not care at all. And I don't know how much of that is a thing to be worried about and how much of it is just like a lot of the games that she plays are check-outable.
from.
Exactly. But yeah, she I think I once harbored hope that she could be like a first overall pick, and I don't know that that's going to happen this year. But always a treat to watch her.
You must be feeling good about having written about Madison Booker, only for her to drop 40 against Oregon.
Yes.
Yesterday.
Yeah. Usually it does not work that way. Usually a player will have like their worst game of the season immediately after I write about them, or just like tear their ACL or something.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for the games to start getting really good later this week.
Michigan plays Louisville this Saturday.
Michigan
Ready for
does,
that.
yeah, in the Sweet 16. Sila, big game.
Sila, big game, yeah. Both Michigan teams. Michigan's
Other
men's is
Michigan,
number
we do have a men's team. We did
Yeah.
start sponsoring men's basketball, so that's good.
I just think I think it's good.
Play
that-
Alabama, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Fuck those guys.
Yeah.
I just think it's cool that men can play basketball too, and it's a big win for gender
Yeah,
equality.
they should. I hope little boys are watching this Michigan team and just.
Yeah, even if you have a crazy ass name like Yaxel, like you can still achieve.
I've
Like, I
actually
think that's-
decided I would like Yaks to be a Piston. I don't. Usually, I'm like not the sort of fan who's just like
need my
dream
guys to
drafting
be-
my favorite
yeah.
college players to my pro team, but I actually think he would be a great Tobias replacement.
I mean, yeah. Look at the Michigan, one of the 2 Michigan men you have on your team right now. Like that's not working out so well.
That could be great.
Yeah. Well, shout out to Yaks. Shout out to you for joining us. Thanks for
Of course.
thanks for coming back on.
Any final, like, what do you say to the Pistons haters? Because there are people that the Pistons, the Pistons,
are.
the Pistons short train has left the station, and I'm curious where you're at with all that.
Yeah, I was talking about this the other day that like for the first time in my life, I'm like having to deal with online Pistons slander and haters. Because they've just, so long as I've like been on the internet, they've never been good. So this is all like really new for me. And I've been like having to defend against allegations that were the 2015 Hawks. I've been like talking myself into various like spin-off takes. One is that the 2015 Hawks were actually like good and are misunderstood.
And
then
you really are in brain damage.
Man, you're
jail.
crashing in directions not previously thought possible in Euclidean geometry.
You have been online.
So anyway, it's all new for me and exciting.
I just the thing that I am preemptively annoyed about is like everyone talks so crazy about the Hornets, and if we get a 1-8 Pistons Hornets matchup, like every national media person is going to be picking the Hornets.
Yes, and I don't even understand why, because I actually think they're like an especially good matchup for us.
Yeah, I
for
think
Duran especially.
Duran's
like,
going to kick the shit out of that little guy.
Yeah, Musa. No,
I mean, also, these two teams did fight each other, which is awesome. And so, maybe this is just predicting that Beef Stew gets tossed like 30 seconds into game one for the rest of the series or something.
It's like penciling that in.
But yeah, I do. I mean, a lot of it is just like Miller, Knipple, and Ball can just like get a good shot kind of whenever. And so, but like their defense is ass, which sort of, I think like the Pistons' downfall is that literally only one guy on the team can dribble the basketball, and his
I think I've become like reverse ball don't stop, where I get mad when people just don't think about defense at all, and like especially in the playoffs. Anyway,
Hogs and reverse ball don't stop is nasty work.
God, soon you're going to start expressing some like insane opinions about Kevin Huerter, and we're going to have to just cut you off.
Yeah. So you're going to be like screen assist.
But I actually do have a.
Wait, no, say it.
Yeah.
He's so good. I think it's like.
He is. I agree. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't hear me saying it publicly.
Some of it's just like I'm so blind with Garrett's hatred that like literally anyone else is amazing to me. Anyone else who could like possibly take some of his minutes.
Yeah.
So I think that's he's getting a bit of a boost from that.
That's beautiful. Well,
this is. I hope he comes back. I hope. I hope you get to do the thing where you just post the screenshot of like the ESPN experts predictions with like the eyes emoji. Like that's what I'm hoping in my heart for you in your future.
I will be saving it. Actually, I haven't even done this for the Pistons, but for like years I've had a list of like Lions slander and Lions headlines that like the year we win the Super Bowl, I'm just going to post it in a thread.
Wow. You do need.
I mean, you and Lauren did this for when Michigan won the football championship.
Yeah, I should have been doing it for the Pistons. I think even I did not believe that they would be a 1 seed this year.
Well, add yourself to the list of haters.
Damn. Well, hopefully the 2015 Atlanta Hawks, but with short form video.
One of their players had his leg broken.
Oh man, that's funny. All right, Maitreyi. Great to have you on as always. And we will surely, as the W season gets closer, as the playoffs get closer, we'll definitely have you on again. So